here with Roy Vandewater. Am I saying that right?
Yep, Roy Vandewater.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Just got to make sure. Um, after the October Phoenix Scrum User Group meeting, why did you attend the meeting tonight?
So a big part of attending the meeting is for us. We wanted to kind of advertise one of our own events, Integram's events that's going on, actually right here at Infusionsoft. And a big part of it too is to interact with the Scrum community. I went to the Lean meeting on Tuesday and met some people there and saw some of the same people there that showed up at this meeting. And I think that it's impossible to improve without getting some outside opinions and to try to get some people that are completely almost pulled away from the problem, that don't automatically make assumptions about your situation because they don't know, to be able to provide advice and insight and help you out.
Very good. Was there anything that you heard here today that you will share with your peers tomorrow?
So I really like the idea of the icebreaker, which one of the guys suggested that starting a retrospective with, especially for a team that's first starting on Agile, which we interact with a lot at Integram, where I think that might be a great way to go. Because I've heard of some teams where, and I've been part of some teams where we just start off doing retrospectives, and there are individuals that just refuse to participate because this entire concept is so alien to them, or they almost feel self-conscious or childish about it. And I think that maybe having some kind of icebreaker or some little game to kind of start it off might help mitigate that.
Very good. Can you think about any past teams or a current team, some experiences? What do you think is one of the most difficult things to overcome when you're using Agile and Scrum?
So I think when you're first starting with a team, there's like the strict definition of Scrum, right? There's some core ceremonies, there's some core like artifacts that you have to have in order to be following Scrum. And I see a lot of teams where they get to one of these ceremonies or artifacts, like let's say it's a daily stand-up, and it's the traditional Scrum bots, like we can't have daily stand-ups because our product owner is only available twice out of the week, and the days that he's available are completely random. And so many times I see teams make concessions or make up their own rules. Or like, well, we're going to do Scrum, but we're going to change this small part of it and make it different. And I would strongly advise, especially an inexperienced team, to do Scrum completely by the book, deal with the problems that come up organizationally, and make the Scrum by the book work, and have that running for a little bit before starting to make your own changes to Scrum. Don't implement Scrum and then once you've implemented strict Scrum, be completely satisfied and stop trying to make changes. But try not to deviate from Scrum by the book until you have implemented it and dealt with the problems that have come up.
Very good. That's good advice. So if there was an all-knowing wizard of Agile that would answer and knew any answer, what question would you ask?
So for me, I think a lot of it is conflict driven. Like I'd want to know how to help an organization embrace conflict within teams, because that's something that we've tried very hard with Integram. Is we are extremely honest with each other to the point where an outsider looking in would think that we are being brutally mean, right? Like the other day we had Derek we had Clayton tell Derek to go to bed because he's being a grumpy bitch, right? Because he's over in the Philippines, he's on a different time zone, and he was acting irrationally because he was asleep. And I feel that in a team that doesn't trust each other, like that would have been hugely inappropriate and would have been a huge problem. And I think because with Integram we build up that type of culture where it's okay to say what you really mean, that we are able to communicate a lot more effectively, and especially with corporations that are worried about lawsuits and also are just to have a human fear of conflict, that may be one extreme, but even approaching that becomes very difficult. Like I've seen examples where somebody schedules a meeting right during the middle of your lunch and nobody wants to question moving the meeting because they're afraid of what that might imply, when asking, hey, is there any reason we can't have this meeting an hour later, would have come to a response with, oh, I thought lunch was the only time you were available. Like, yeah, an hour later works better for me too, right? But they were too afraid to even ask because of the conflict that might have happened.
Oh, Good. That's very, very key. Um, are there any things you would like to learn or do in the Scrum user group meeting that we haven't done or you haven't seen done?
I think one of the things is I would like to be a little more effective at explaining or being able to explain the the core purpose of estimates and how that differs from commitments and how and why we use points as opposed to estimating in hours. Like I understand some of the basic fundamentals and I understand that it's important, but I would like to know some of the finer details so that I can better explain it to other people. Because I feel like I know enough to convince myself, but not enough to convince other people.
Very good. Okay. Where have you learned the most about Agile, and from who? If
Oh,
it's a who.
from the team and probably a specific person, it would probably be from Derek.
Okay.
From Derek Neighbors.
Derek Neighbors.
Yep.
Okay. You have any words of wisdom for teams that are not doing Agile or Scrum yet, but are looking to do so?
I mean, if you are looking to do so, I kind of agree with what one of the gentlemen said during this meeting. The number one thing to start with is retrospectives. Like if you get everybody in a group on your team in a safe environment where they can feel free to talk about what the problems are and are empowered to make some decisions to try to change their behavior or their environment or somehow improve what they're doing, you will naturally get an agile team. Because I think that people just naturally want to work in that type of environment. Nobody wants to be a code monkey. Nobody wants to just punch the clock. I think that a lot of people are forced or conditioned into that by their company culture and their environment.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for your time, Roy.
Cool. Thanks.